Now today, besides having Mark Bradley on the program, who is here as a frequent citizen reporter, we also have Mr. Tom Losey with us today, who has been doing a lot of work out in the field with the camera and then bringing it into the studio to bring the essence of what he has captured out there in the field into a nice little film that we want to talk about in part of our program today. So with that, I want to welcome both of you, Mr. Losey and Mr. Bradley, to the program.
Thank you.
And,
thank you for having me.
Yeah. and the thing is, what we're going to do, I think we're going to start off with what Tom's been up to,
right.
Because you've brought some film footage with you as well, and we want to share that, and not to disappoint any of our regular viewers. We also have, after that, we're going to talk about some of the news headlines in the recent newspaper editions, and we also have some film footage from the town hall forum that was held in Maplewood that we had film footage of from today, November 5th. And so we want to share some of that with you as well. So with that, now Tom, first of all, why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about, who you are and how you got into doing what you're going to be showing us little clips of.
Sure. Well, I've always been interested in communication, and most of my professional career was in print media, newspapers. And after I kind of went into semi-retirement, I wanted to come back and continue with medium and storytelling, essentially finding a way of outlining a story and telling it in the most compelling way. And I happened upon SCC. I had looked around for the various access organizations, and there's quite a few across the metro, and found that here at SCC TV, it's one of the best in the entire nation.
Yeah.
So I started taking the classes, learning a little bit more about what was going on, how television was made, and really fell in love with it. And somewhere along the line, as I was taking the classes, one of the folks who is a longtime producer here invited me to help on her show.
Oh, and who was that?
Our genial host. And I really appreciated that. And so I learned a lot more about studio and how to get a program onto the air.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking back to when I first met you, Tom, and that you had taken some of these classes and you were looking for an opportunity to get involved and put some of those skills to use so you wouldn't forget what you learned in the class. And I said, well, hey, we've always got something we're producing out here. And I think that one of the things you had mentioned to me was the fact that when we do a program, we all just sit down in front of the camera, we just spit it out, and we're done. And except for one time, you found me tongue-tied, and you couldn't believe it.
I think that was the first issue of your Washington at Work. We did it in the small studio then, and I think we did the introduction 8 or 10 times because you got so far and somehow the tongue stopped working. and I was just absolutely flabbergasted because I have, whether it was watching it on TV or working one of the cameras or back in the control room, I have always thought that you and Mark or whatever guest that you might have, it's always been kind of a living room conversation that was this quality type conversation that you wish you would have with friends and family.
Yeah, exactly. And I think what the point was is that I actually wasn't having a conversation with anyone other than myself.
Just the camera.
And that was indeed, I think, the difficult part about it. But certainly I'm getting better at that too. But one of the things I want you to share then with our viewers is that you then have taken those skills and you've gone out into the field now. You've taken some film footage, and you are telling a story. And tell them how this has evolved, where you found a story to tell.
Sure. Well, I started out moving from your programming. I was introduced to Lauren Cedarson, who does All Around Grant. And he had I think it was a car show or something that he needed somebody to have some help with. And I said, well, you know, I've done some camera work, I'll come out. And so I started shooting field work for him. And I've done all of his field segments that they have. I mean, if it's other than photographs, if it's actually live video, I've shot for him. And as I was doing that, I started thinking, you know, I could do that. That's it. I didn't die doing it. It works. So we've, you know, I'm obviously an older guy, so we no longer have kids that we have to worry about, but we do a lot of stuff with the grandkids. And started looking at things, you know, where do you take kids? Where do you take grandkids that is not just repetitive play type thing, but where they learn something, they still can have fun, and someplace that they want to come back. And we've always gone to the Minnesota Landscape Arboretum. It's one of the places that we really enjoy, whether it's just Linda and myself or taking the kids along. And when we decided to do that with the grandkids one time, I said, you know, I'm going to grab a camera and we're going to make something out of this. And that was the essentially the dawning point of through a child's eyes.
Yeah, very good. And of course, this is the kind of story that any of our viewers out there can say, gee, that sounds like something so easy to fall into. That's something that they could do as well. How easy it would be to be able to incorporate what you're doing with the camera and what we have available here at the studio, incorporate that into what they're doing in their day-to-day life, and then be able to share that and make something into it.
Absolutely. I think it's a matter of obviously learning the skills to make those kind of things happen. But there are so many people doing so many unique things. And this is an organization that has professional level training, professional level help with the access assistance and here, and a community of people that will bend over backwards to help you put out a quality product.
Absolutely. Well, I know that Mark and we certainly can attest to the fact that the staff here does a lot to really support what we do here at the Citizens Reporter, and helping us make sure we've got our mics working and everything else is going smoothly.
And they always are able to supply us with the materials we need.
That's right.
It's a good group of people. I would highly recommend it.
Exactly. Well, now you've brought along some clips from your production through the eyes of a child. And so let's take a look at one of those clips, and we'll share that with our viewers, and then we'll come back and then we'll critique it. No, not really.
Okay, and this
is... we'll talk some more about, do a little setup on this.
Okay, well this is from our premiere episode. It's running right now on Channel 15 for SCC area folks. It's going to premiere Metro-wide on the Thanksgiving week on Channel 6.
Wow.
So everybody will be able to get a chance to see it. And this is essentially that first trip that we talked about, going to the Minnesota Landscape Arboretum.
Excellent. Well, let's play the clip and we'll come back.
Today we are here with a new television show called Through a Child's Eyes.
After the end of this program, we write the location.
I'll say hi.
had fun. If we learned something. If we're going to come back.
No, we didn't shoot our first episode in some far-off rainforest. We were only a little ways west of the Twin Cities at the Minnesota Landscape Arboretum. There, the University of Minnesota has more than 1,000 acres of gardens, fountains, and trees. The Arb is a place where learning can be fun. The Stick Castle was last year's big attraction at the Arboretum, the Big Build. The Big Build took nearly a month to complete, but thanks to the Arb's time-lapse cameras, we accomplish it here for you in about 2 minutes. A year ago in May, artist Patrick Doherty and more than 80 volunteers and Arboretum staff built what would soon be called the UFTA Palace. The Big Build is made up of thousands of twigs, branches, and saplings woven and twisted together. Not a single nail or peg was used in the entire structure. Five truckloads of mostly willow went into the construction of the palace. Apparently, they threw in a little maple to spice up the decor. Mr. Doherty has built more than 175 twig structures over the past 20 years. They come in all shapes and sizes. Some have been designed to look like childhood tree houses, the huge nest of some monster, or even jack-o'-lantern heads. His works have appeared all over the world, in Scotland, France, Japan, Australia, and throughout the U.S. Don't wait too long to see the UFTA Palace. Made out of twigs, it is designed to eventually break down and return to the soil. Most of Mr. Doherty's sculptures last only about 2 years.
UFTA.
Little Scandinavian. Nubian?
Wow, that's amazing. And you know, while I was watching this, Tom, I was thinking about this idea that you have of storytelling and really using the camera and using the voiceover as a way to tell those stories. And I know many times people have their family reunions, for instance, and they've got family members there who are maybe the elders of their family. You know, they could actually take a camera, take these classes, and then they could incorporate all of the skills that you are putting to use doing this presentation that we saw here, and that they could take all those same skills, put together the story of their family history, and have different, say, you know, here's this person, that person, have them talk, and be able to tell the story of their own family.
Absolutely. It's the kind of thing that not only would you have a program that was a quality program for cable casting, but think of the legacy that you would leave. Mm-hmm. And this is the kind of thing that you can incorporate other videos, graphics, you know, photographs, and that type of thing.
Exactly, and for those folks, if they've got some other film footage of their family from like in the 50s, that they could figure out where to insert it into the interviews.
Exactly.
When they've got maybe an aunt and an uncle that are busy chit-chatting about some thing that happened in their family history or whatever, and there you happen to have then the film footage of when they were kids tobogganing down the hill.
Or just a picture, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
But this is so exciting right now. I was just going to ask you, have you had anything in the planning right now for the future?
We've got a couple different programs that we're looking at. We're looking at doing one on a martial arts segment. Mm-hmm. We're going to be talking to the Three River Park System. You know, they've got a whole series of weekend programs that range anything from birding to the capturing of the butterflies for, you know, to check the migration, and snowshoeing and cross-country skiing and all that kind of thing. We've got one segment that we're looking at on children volunteering. Now, our age range that we deal with is 3 through 13, and essentially it's designed kind of for elementary school children. So, I mean, the peak viewership we anticipate is probably 6 to 11. So what we want is events and things that would be applicable to that age range. And quite frankly, we're very open to having people suggest those kind of things.
Yes.
And we'll give you our Facebook page here in a second, but we would love to have people come on and make those suggestions, because it's...
Well, if I could, I'd like to make one right now.
Oh, absolutely.
How about going to the Capitol, because they do take the children up and take them through the whole Capitol and let them take a look at that. I think that'd be a great one for
that would
preserving.
be exactly.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, definitely. Those are, because again, it's, you know, through the child's eye, and looking from their perspective of when they go up there to see those gilded horses, if they can actually go up there and look at them, and you can be there with the camera, getting the view of it.
Well, and that's the whole beauty of this particular program. Essentially, you and I can go and see something, but we're kind of jaded. The idea of through a child's eyes, and when people watch this, they'll find in this first segment, there are only 2 adults in the entire half-hour program, and they have very short little pieces in interacting with the kids. It's what the kids think of it and what the kids see of a particular situation that's really the essence of the show.
Yeah, no, that's excellent. That's very wonderful. And the viewers may have noticed when they were watching the clip that there was a point where the children were all sitting down and talking, and then up on the screen, of course, came the little blips with the little check marks and their name and their ages and that kind of thing. Well, of course, that's done with software that's here in the studio, and so that's inserted after you've done your raw footage, and then you put it in later. But there's a video software that does that, and once you've taken the class and you've practiced a little bit, it gets to be easier and easier, doesn't it?
Well, it does. I mean, anything that you're going to do, what I've told several people is learning the software, and we use Final Cut Pro. It's kind of like learning a second language. But this is the same software that they use in Hollywood to make major motion pictures. It's the same software that most of the television stations here in the Twin Cities use to edit their footage. So it's this whole thing with SCC is, you know, a lot of times people look at public access and say, oh, that's where that old couple uses cheese cubes to make all the national monuments.
Right. Or those young boys are busy wrestling.
No, exactly. This is a really professional alternative to get stories out.
It's kind of a time capsule, if you think about it. That kind of gives the appeal to look into the future. And a good example is to take a look at a character called Opie when it was Andy Griffith, and then he grew up and he was on Happy Days, and later on now he's been making movies and everything like that. So it's a capsule that kind of carries with somebody too. So anything we're doing actually can be carried on for life, and these kids have something that they can remember.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, very good. Well, and there here at the studio, there are a number of other producers that are trying to incorporate the use of more of a perspective of working with children, or trying to incorporate children into being part of the production crew. And I think that's very fascinating because, like as you were mentioning, Mr. Bradley, the kinds of skills that certainly children might get if they're involved with public access TV, or that they're exposed to it because they've been helping with the production of it in some aspect, it gives them another skill set to go forward with in the future and maybe become that next movie producer or something else.
Well, even if it's not a big movie producer, the carryover, the ability to assemble a story in kind of a cogent way to communicate with people is something that is a skill set they'll be able to carry throughout their lives.
Oh yeah, definitely, and it'll come in handy many times.
Exactly, exactly.
But like I said earlier, it also happens to have that value in it that later on they can say, I remember when I did this, and at that point they can say, hey, this was something that was really vital to me and important, and it really gives them something they can refer to for the rest of their life.
That's right. Well, and I'm thinking back, Mr. Bradley, when a few shows back, your son, Richard, wanted to come on the program because he had something to say, and he felt that he was empowered to be able to come here to the Citizens Reporter and was comfortable enough that he could say what he had to say and communicate that. And that, again, it goes back to that skill set, as you were saying, Mr. Losey, about being able to, you know, get those skills, feel comfortable in it. It's not like it's something foreign, and no matter what they do in the future, it's something that they can always look back to and rely upon.
It is something that, you know, it just doesn't come to you in your sleep. It is something that you have to develop. But again, it's something that you'll carry with you always. So, yeah, it's exciting when kids feel A, comfortable that they can do it, and B, that they're willing, that they've got that urge to do.
Exactly.
Do things like that.
Now you have brought also another clip that shows some of the vital information that we want to communicate, talking about communication,
Sure.
that we want to communicate to our viewers. So let's get up the next clip with the
Schedule for the
schedule. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, Tom, can you walk us through this?
Sure. Well, and this is a couple of the kids that were at the shoot in the big build, and in fact, you saw them both in the clip that we showed. And again, we're promoting that it's going to be on that entire week of Thanksgiving on Channel 6. So, you know, when kids are off school, a lot of chance to view it, and literally Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of that week. And then for those of the folks that are in the SCC viewing area, we've scheduled a little earlier. In fact, we premiered on Thursday with the program, but it's next going to be on Sunday the 13th at noon, and it will repeat then each Sunday thereafter through November, and then on Wednesday the 23rd at 3 o'clock.
Wow, that's wonderful. And now, have you had any, you know, before it aired, have you had various people kind of preview it? And what have some of their comments been?
Well, we've got some very good feedback about the programming. We do have it up on our YouTube channel, so if somebody is just desperate to see it now before they can get it on television, they can go through Eyes of a Child and on YouTube. or they could go to our Facebook page, and we've got it on there too.
That's great. And see, again, this is a great use of multimedia because you've been able to take this idea of saying, I want to be able to tell a story and have that certain focus of how to tell that story, and then come to SCC here, get the training to then use the cameras, use the equipment, use the software editing, produce a program, and then using Facebook and YouTube to help communicate to folks that it's even available, all this hard work that you've done.
Exactly, and that's the critical issue. It's one thing to have the program, but if you don't have anybody watching it, it's you know, you lose a certain of the effect on it. So we've been very conscious about setting up and making people aware of what's going on and where they can actually view our programming.
That's great. So how does the Arboretum feel about this project that you've done?
Oh, they were one of the first people that had the chance to view the final result, and I sent it to the folks in the public relations, and when I went back, I think I sent that out like on a Friday afternoon. When I looked at the YouTube viewership of the program, it had gone from like 2 or 3 to almost a score. So obvious, and they were the only ones that had the link to it.
Yes.
And it was set up as initially as a private program. So obviously it went from email to email to email, and people were looking at it.
Exactly.
So, and the Arboretum really is excited about having the kids come out. I mean, I think in a lot of ways that we were talking about, you know, laying a foundation with kids and getting them interested in a lifelong thing. I think the Arboretum views working with children is a whole basis for a lifelong relationship with the organization.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's also like a PSA in this case, because the fact is, as they said in the video itself, that it's only going to be there for a limited period of time. So for at least this plane, it's great that it is the way it is, but I think in later planes we should actually have it prefaced, and I hope you do this, to say when you made it, because the fact is, they did say it's only going to be there for 2 years, right. So the fact is, somebody may be a little bit disappointed if they go down to the Arboretum in 5 years and find
that the UFTA Palace isn't there anymore.
But the great thing about the Arboretum is each year they bring on a new major project.
And that's
so there's always something that's new and exciting that they've got going. In fact, the tail end of our program is with the director of the Arboretum, Ed Schneider, and he goes through literally all the new things that they're doing for the next 3 years, and some of those things are going to be very exciting for kids and parents too. Like he says at the end is, you know, come out, kids, and you can bring your parents along with you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm wondering, should we take a little gander at the clip of the maze?
Why don't we?
Okay. So let's, because there's a little clip of the maze that's at the Arboretum,
right,
which I think is very amazing.
These are 2 of the kids that go through the maze, and we'll see that it's not necessarily a done deal getting through there. It takes a little head scratching to make it work.
Okay, let's take a look.
Lost during the filming of this segment.
Oh.
Dead end. it the same way. So if you were to go on that side, you could see. If you were to go on that side, go on that side. We would just meet at the same. Dead end. Dead end. Which way? This one.
Wonderful use of music to build up the suspense of getting through that maze. Wonderful, because you knew, well, as the sign said, the end is near.
Nope, absolutely, absolutely.
That was great. I bet you had a lot of fun with that piece.
Oh yes, it's the one boy that kind of did the lead through the maze on one of his segments, and we didn't let him use it. He said, "Well, yeah, I discovered ways you can crawl through the hedges on the maze and get out easier."
Now that, of course, is through the eyes of a child.
Yes, yeah, that was his learning experience.
Well, nothing wrong with that film footage. You could use that as an outtake. See, you have your regular film footage, and then you have the outtake, like they have at the big time movies, and then that would be the little clips on the film floor.
And that was the first time we shot the maze in the rain.
Wow.
It was, but we had to do a couple shoots out there because we got rained out on the first day that we went.
Amazing, amazing. And so I'm thinking maybe we can bring up the schedule screen one more time, so that way our viewers, if they didn't have their paper and their pencil handy when we were first showing it, that they'll be able to jot down some of those dates and times.
There we go.
Okay, good, excellent. So there we go, Schedule 6 schedule, and also the SCC Channel 15 schedule. And so what a wonderful way to start off your Thanksgiving week by sharing this with the family and the kids.
Right, sit down with the kids and watch, and you know, the Arboretum is open year-round except for 2 days in the year, so you can go out there literally anytime, and every season at the Arboretum is an interesting time to be there. And
then why don't you tell us what we're looking at here on the screen?
Well, this is our websites. The smaller one is our YouTube channel. So that's www.youtube.com /ChildsEyesTV. And that has all of our footage on for all of our programming. And then, again, we'd like comments on the current programming, suggestions for new programming, or just discussions about children in general, and that's on our Facebook site.
And
well, that's wonderful.
And as you expand this, I imagine you will be having enough different ideas that maybe young parents who don't have any idea where or what to do in the area will find that it is worthwhile to actually check out your video in this case.
Yeah. Well, and that's our goal, is to have kind of a library of things where the parents or the children or both can decide, you know, what are we going to do this weekend, or what are we going to do tonight? Well, and almost everybody that's in the video, we recruited. They are grandchildren, so we used grandchildren and neighbors, and that's how we came up with our list of kids initially. But Yeah, our goal is to find things that are inexpensive or cost-free, and as our voiceover artist, who was 13 at the time that we did that, will point out that going to the Arboretum is absolutely free up until you're 16, and then you have to pay some dollars to get through the gate.
Exactly. Well, that's wonderful. Now, we are going to probably, we're at the half-hour mark here of our program, and so we're probably going to make sure we cover some of our other topics as well,
Absolutely.
Tom. But I want to thank you very much for sharing this with our viewers and with us. And certainly, if you would like to stay and join in the conversation with the rest of the topics,
Happy to do
we'd welcome your comments.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I do appreciate it. I appreciate you giving me kind of a start in the access television business, and looking forward to continuing to work with you.
Well, you know, we always have programs up our sleeves with this group. You know, every time that we think of a new idea, hey, that's a show topic. Let's get it on video.
And who knows? Maybe because of he's making these shows, he'll be our Mr. Rogers of the next generation.
Ah, there you go.